Have you ever wondered what happens when the spirit of a killer refuses to leave the realm of the living? A question that sends shivers down the spine, and yet, it is the chilling reality of a small, seemingly peaceful town. Nestled between towering mountains and dense forests, this town has a secret whispered in hushed tones and fearful glances. They speak of a haunted killer, a phantom that lurks in the shadows, forever trapped between life and death. Tales of cold, lifeless eyes peering from the darkness and an eerie silence that engulfs the night have been passed down from one generation to the next. The townsfolk live in a constant state of dread, their every waking moment poisoned by the fear of the unknown, of a killer's spirit that refuses to rest. In the chilling silence of this small town, a horrifying story begins to unfold. Every monster was once a man, and our haunted killer was no different. Picture a child, born into a world of chaos and darkness. His name was Ethan, a boy whose innocence was stolen by the harsh realities of life. Abandoned by his mother, neglected by his alcoholic father, Ethan's childhood was anything but ordinary. His home wasn't a sanctuary, it was a battlefield filled with violence, despair, and pain. As he grew older, the world around him seemed to grow darker. He found solace not in companionship, but in solitude. Ethan's heart hardened, his soul became a barren wasteland, devoid of empathy and kindness. His mind, once filled with dreams and hopes, was now a playground for his darkest fantasies. Ethan's first taste of blood came when he was just 15. A local stray dog had been his unsuspecting victim. The act, cruel and inhuman, was Ethan's desperate cry for control, a futile attempt to exert his dominance over a world that had so ruthlessly dominated him. But the line between man and monster blurred further when Ethan committed his first human murder. A drifter, forgotten by the world, became Ethan's unfortunate prey. The act was gruesome, terrifying, and for Ethan, intoxicating. He had tasted power and he was insatiable. Ethan's descent into madness was swift and unyielding. He was no longer a man, but a monster, a predator lurking in the shadows. His terrifying spree continued, each act more gruesome than the last until his untimely death. A violent end to a violent life. But death was not the end for Ethan. His spirit, twisted and vengeful, refused to find peace. His mortal form was gone, but his monstrous essence lingered, tethered to the world he had once so ruthlessly terrorized. But death was not the end for him. It was merely the beginning of a new, more terrifying chapter. When the boundary between life and death blurs, the living bear the brunt of it. This holds true as we delve into the first haunting of our spectral perpetrator. In the heart of the town, where laughter and life once echoed, a chilling silence had descended. The townsfolk, once jovial and carefree, were now gripped with an unsettling apprehension. They were about to confront what they never thought possible, a haunting from beyond the grave. The first victim, a man known for his jovial spirit and hearty laughter, was found petrified in his own home, his eyes wide with terror, his skin pale, his laughter replaced by a chilling silence. He was the first to experience the terror of the haunted killer. He spoke of a shadow, darker than the blackest night, that had invaded his home. The shadow, he said, was cold, and it whispered words that froze his very soul. It was a presence that seemed to feed off his fear, growing stronger and more terrifying with each passing moment. The townsfolk were bewildered, unable to comprehend the terror that had befallen their friend. They comforted him, reassured him, but the fear in his eyes remained. The memory of the haunting shadow was etched deep into his mind, a chilling reminder of the terror he had experienced. The townsfolk whispered amongst themselves, their eyes darting around nervously. The once lively town was now shrouded in a cloud of fear and confusion. They had heard tales of the vengeful killer, but they never thought they would witness his wrath firsthand. The fear was infectious, spreading through the town like a rampant wildfire. Doors were locked, windows were shuttered, and the once bustling streets were deserted as night fell. The town was in the grip of a terror it had never known before. And as the moon rose high in the sky, casting long, eerie shadows across the deserted streets, the townsfolk huddled in their homes, praying for the dawn. They were left to wonder, to fear, and to question. Who would be the next victim of the haunted killer? The terror was real, and it was only just beginning. Fear has a way of spreading like a disease, infecting everyone it touches. In the aftermath of the first haunting, the town was gripped by a terror that seemed to seep into every corner and every soul. It was as if the town itself had been possessed by the specter of the killer. The once bustling streets grew silent. Laughter, once a common sound, was replaced by hushed whispers and trembling voices. The fear was palpable. It hung in the air like a thick fog, suffocating the life out of the town. In the days that followed, a series of hauntings began to unfold. Objects moved on their own. Doors creaked open in the dead of night. Chilling whispers echoed from empty rooms, each incident a chilling reminder of the killer's spectral presence. Each event another thread woven into the tapestry of terror that was rapidly engulfing the town. Attempts were made to stop the hauntings, of course. The town's bravest souls dared to confront the spectral killer. They employed every technique known to them, from exorcisms to seances, from protective talismans to ancient rituals. But their efforts were in vain. The hauntings continued, each one more terrifying than the last, each one a stark reminder of their powerlessness in the face of this spectral menace. The reign of terror had a profound impact. The townspeople, once a tight-knit community, were now divided by fear and suspicion. Trust was a luxury they could no longer afford. Every creak, every shadow, every gust of wind was a potential threat. The town was under siege, not by a tangible enemy, but by an invisible, insidious force that could strike at any moment. In the end, their attempts to stop the hauntings were futile. The spectral killer remained a constant looming presence, a reminder of the town's darkest hour. Their fear was not just of the hauntings, but of the grim realization that they were powerless to stop them. Despite their best efforts, the town was helpless against the spectral killer. In the face of the unknown, even the bravest souls falter. As we delve into the enigma of the haunted killer, it's important to remember that understanding such a phenomenon is no easy task. Some of the most brilliant minds have ventured into the abyss, armed with theories and hypotheses, only to return with more questions than answers. The most widely accepted theory suggests that the haunted killer is not a singular entity, but rather a manifestation of collective fear and guilt. It's a chilling concept, the idea that our own darkest emotions could take on such a horrifying form. Yet, despite its popularity, this theory fails to explain the killer's seemingly intelligent and purposeful actions. Other theories propose that the haunted killer is a spirit, trapped in a cycle of violence and vengeance. Paranormal investigators have attempted to communicate with this entity, hoping to understand its motivations and perhaps find a way to break the cycle. They've used everything from old-fashioned seances to high-tech ghost hunting equipment. They've called out into the dark, offering condolences for the spirit's pain and promises of help. The responses, however, have been anything but reassuring. Strange noises, sudden drops in temperature, and chilling messages relayed through EVP, electronic voice phenomenon. Recordings have only added to the mystery. Some investigators have even reported feeling cold hand gripping their heart, a sensation of overwhelming fear and despair. Yet despite these terrifying experiences, there has been no resolution, no breakthroughs that have led to a definitive answer. The haunted killer remains an enigma, a shadow in the dark that continues to elude understanding. It's a chilling reminder that some mysteries are not meant to be solved. Some ghosts are not meant to be laid to rest, but every attempt only led to more questions, and the mystery of the haunted killer remained unsolved. As we step back from the abyss, we are left with a chilling realization. In the realm of the unknown, the most terrifying thing is not the darkness itself, but the unanswered questions it leaves behind. When dealing with the supernatural, closure is a luxury few can afford. Our tale now finds us at a crossroad. The town, once a bustling hub of joy and laughter, is now blanketed in a shroud of fear and uncertainty. The hauntings continue, the eerie silence of the night only broken by the chilling whispers of the ghostly killer. People scurry home before sundown, their eyes reflecting a terror that words can barely express. The once vibrant community gatherings are now relegated to hushed conversations behind locked doors, the name of the haunted killer spoken only in trembles. Yet, amidst this fear, there is resilience, a flicker of hope that refuses to be extinguished. The townsfolk are not ready to surrender their homes to the specter that haunts them. They will fight, they will resist. And so the story of the haunted killer continues. Will the town ever find peace? Only time will tell.